So if that's the case, and we're looking at an Aroldis Chapman, I think the Reds are going to want more than a Daniel Norris or a Jeff Hoffman. I think you're looking at a big piece off the roster because they can bash their way to home runs, and I know which piece I'm looking at, and I don't even want to say it. If I'm the Reds,
there's no way they're parting with an Edwin or a Jose.
And that's what and you know what, I read the article, and I thought, if history dictates the last couple of years, Austin Jackson was traded for pitching. Same thing. I mean, pitching is such... If you can get an ace in June, July, you're not just giving up prospects. And that's the scary part for me because this team is tight. That's the part that I worry about. Having said that, Daniel Norris, Jeff Hoffman, blue chippers. Devin Travis, would I do it? I'd hate to do it, yes. But I don't want to let any 1 through 5, 1 through 6 go off that roster.
Just the Reds, I doubt. I think the Reds, because they're 30 and 35, they're 12 and a half games back of the Cardinals. I feel like
Pirates have 8 in a row.
Right, they're not winning that division. They're not making the playoffs. So a roster player to me doesn't make that much sense for the Reds, but it's a hell of a lot of package.
A lot of a package of all your top guys.
Especially, to me, more and more, I really do think the Jays need a front-of-the-line starter to really go after it this year. More so because they don't have an ace. I know the bullpen needs some help too, but they have everything the Jays wanted right there. Cueto and Chapman.
One-stop shopping.
But it's going to take the world. But it's right there. It's all in one team. Everything you need.
So great point. But that's my worry. My worry is if we let the last 2-3 years dictate what is available and what we need to pay to what we need to get, if we're going to be swapping pieces, do we have roster pieces that are young enough that'll fit in with what they're trying to do in Cincinnati? Maybe. Everybody wants Edwin in their lineup. Everybody's going to want a great young prospect like Devin Travis. I mean, his first month and a half has spoken for itself. Still unproven, and like I said, sample size too small, but that's my worry. I just hope that at some point in time we can say, hey, listen, Norris, Hoffman, good enough. There's a guy named Matt Haig that's it apparently is heir apparent if Donaldson leaves. He's real good. He's a great fielding third baseman. He hit the ball a ton.
No, Donaldson's not going.
No, I know he's not, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that they're
expendable now.
Exactly.
Right.
And there's some pieces, lots of pieces there. Just don't touch the roster. Please, Alex, if you can hear me. Alex is Dean, your buddy. Hey, don't touch the roster. Touch anything else. Devin Travis.
Add to that bullpen.
Don't touch the roster. Yeah. Give us a closer. Give me some Cueto.
Jays Orioles tonight, 7 o'clock, and we have tickets to tonight's game. So where we'll give them away today. And to tomorrow's game.
Yeah, both of them. We'll give them both away. Coming up. Just after 8:30. Baltimore Jays, as Ryan said, 7 p.m. Tonight, Sportsnet 590 The Fan. You can watch it on Sportsnet 2. Switching gears, the NHL Draft is a week from today. On Sportsnet. Are we carrying it on Sportsnet 590 The Fan as well? I bet we will. Jody used to talk about that. A guy that ruffled, never mind. A guy that ruffled some feathers about the whole Phil Kessel thing just the other day. NHL insider and Sportsnet analyst, Mr. Elliot Friedman. Hello, sir.
Good morning.
How are we?
We are good. How are we?
The Royal, we are good.
Excellent.
Yeah. So what's the... you took a little heat for the Phil Kessel to Calgary thing.
These days you take heat for everything, so you just sort of grin it and bear it.
Twitter's fun. Yeah. Do you ever want to reach through Twitter and choke people?
The Pittsburgh thing I did, but I'm no longer a young offender, so I don't get away with it anymore.
Yeah.
But it's just everything. It's kind of weird how much radio has kind of changed. I was talking about this on the station the other day that you go on, you shoot the breeze, and now I guess the biggest difference is people transcribe and turn into stories. So you really have to be a lot more, I don't know if careful is the right word, but you can't probably be as free-flowing as you used to exchange ideas because it gets turned into a story.
Do you not take that as a compliment, though, that people value your opinion and your authority so much in the world of hockey that they're like, well, you better write this down because Friedman said it?
It's sort of like the beginning of South Park. That nothing I say should be taken seriously, and the caricatures are done very poorly. No, I don't really look at it that way. I don't take myself that seriously. And for another, I just think that there's a difference between, saying that you think something is going to happen and just, sometimes when you're on a show like this one, people ask you, what do you think, or why don't you try to theorize, and you just like to try to throw theories out there, and I think sometimes it gets a little bit out of control.
That's what happens with people too, right? And I found it out. You remember when the whole Babcock thing, and Sportsnet had this release, and they were like, Babcock's going to re-sign in Detroit. So I made this stupid error, because I'm a rookie still, of not retweeting it, but just cutting and pasting it and then throwing it out on Twitter. And that's still to this day, instead of crediting the source or waiting and then trying to find out or sussing it out, it ended up that our original guesstimation was right. Babcock was here, but it's not that you never live it down. It's just that I think people that love hockey and trades that much have the sense of humor of a remote control.
Well, I think also in some ways we're like the athletes we cover, in the sense that they tend to try to remember our failures more than our successes. And there's no question about that too. Is that people do take things very seriously. There's no question about that. They love their hockey. They love their Toronto Maple Leafs. But, I think right now also, Dean, there's such a heightened sensitivity because we know that the Maple Leafs are quote-unquote up to things. We know that they are thinking about some radical moves that will alter the scope of the organization. So they're so excited to hear about what those things could be, or they're so curious about what those things could be. They jump on every morsel of information. What social media has done is it's changed the speed at which the stuff can be delivered. So whenever something like that comes out, there's no question. With the whole Malkin and Pittsburgh thing, which really got far out of control from what I intended, I still have people from Pittsburgh who tweet me and make comments like that. So you just have to
Mute, man.
Yeah, you know what? I think the one thing it has taught me a lot is you've got to have a really thick skin about it.
Yeah,
so
who cares?
You just got to deal with it and move on. Eat it and move on.
Absolutely. Elliot Friedman, our guest, NHL and Sportsnet, you say some really big things with the Leafs, and I have heard similar things, and I've heard that the pieces are big, but I've heard there's many options when it comes to what they plan on doing. What have you heard that you can talk about, not with authority, but by saying, hey, these things may happen?
Well, I just do think, Dean, that they are considering an awful lot. That it's funny. Like, I've been talking to people. What do you think the draft is going to shake down? Like, who do you think is going to go where? Where's it going to go? Starting with Arizona at number 3, because we know where 1 and 2 are going to be. And it's funny. So we talked about Arizona, and then with one general manager said, "What do you think about Toronto? What they're going to do?" And he kind of laughed and he said, "I get the sense Toronto thinks a successful draft will be if they trade 4 people," and we kind of laughed about it. So there's no question that there's a lot of talk. There's a lot of discussion about Toronto's pieces. I really get the sense, it's interesting, like there's teams out there, and I think Arizona is one of them, and that they're willing to take on salary from other clubs, providing you make it worth their while. And to me, the teams, and Toronto has a chance to be a little bit like that, but they seem to be determined that they're going to fix their cap problems without taking up a lot more of a cap hit from other teams. They don't want to be a team that's just adding for the sake of getting a piece. They want to keep some flexibility moving into the future. So, there's some teams that might be willing to take on some salary. The Leafs are willing to take on some, but not at the expense of what they might want to do in the future. So I think that makes the whole situation a little bit interesting. I think the other thing too with a guy like Kessel is that I'm really finding that the teams that are going to want to take on a long-term $8 million hit, or whatever it is that it's going to be if the Maple Leafs take back some money or not, there's not a ton of them. So It's a complicated deal, but I think we're really seeing teams trying to start to move forwards to closing some stuff with a week to go before the draft.
And we had a couple names linked, well, maybe one day to the Maple Leafs. Joe Sakic saying he's not shopping Ryan O'Reilly, which of course that's what he's going to say, a guy with 1 year left, though being an unrestricted free agent. And does that Stamkos to Toronto, does that dream die this summer with a big, massive extension in Tampa?
Well, first of all, I was on that conference call with Sakic yesterday and Patrick Ross, so I was listening. And it's not that, the news was not that, you know, he said he's not shopping O'Reilly. The news was that Joe Sakic made it very clear that he did not want to go into a situation where this was going to be a distraction for O'Reilly or the Avalanche next season. So